Hello, 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 new teachers thriving community. This is Keisha, your new teacher expert, and I am here to address an issue that is bothering hundreds and hundreds of new teachers, maybe even thousands, but I read hundreds of comments every day about teachers struggling with this issue. So I'm glad you're here. We're going to be talking about it, and I'm going to be helping you through it. Happy Friday. I don't know where you're at, but Friday here in California, Central Valley is hot, and I am ready for this to be over. And that our fall weather for the few days of fall that we get would start. I'd be grateful for that. But it's also in this area the beginning of fall break. And what fall break is, for those of you who don't know, is a week or two off that the schools have because they started in July and August, and this is the midpoint of the semester. So they get a break in the fall, similar to the break at spring break. So my son is excited to be home. I'm sure his friends are, and if you are on that schedule, you are grateful to be seeing a break as well. So happy fall break for those of you that get it, and for those of you who don't, you are doing great. Hang in there. This year is moving by. It is going by. For some of us, really quickly. For some of us, feels like way too slow because it feels like we're pulling teeth. And so today, we're going to be talking about what to do about all the talking. I read so many posts from new teachers, just like you, who are saying, the talking is out of control. I can't get them to stop. They're so super chatty, right? And it's time that we stop it. We take control, because what's happening is students aren't learning, right? You're spending too much time managing, waiting, bribing, giving, taking points, candy, tickets, tiger bucks, right? Blurt beans. You're doing all the things, and ultimately it's not working, right? You're saying, Sally, come sit down. Thank you, Sally. Thank you, Keisha. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Kellen. All these sitting down, and Dylan isn't sitting still. Like, he's not catching on to this plan, right? And I'm going to address why that is and how you're going to take care of the Dylans and the other 5 to 7 kids who are really not getting with the program. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Not getting with the program, right? It is almost October. Basically, it is October. And what I know to be true is that in August, you were super excited. In September, the realities of teaching and the struggles and the challenges are becoming realized. In October, if we don't figure those out, then we start to see some more defiance, some more apathy, some more purposeful disruptions, because they're going to continue to escalate, and we don't want that. You don't want escalation, right? So I've put together my plan for your success, and I hope that when you see that it works, that when you implement these strategies, students will get on task, right? They will do what they need. And a lot of it is because people thrive in security. They thrive with consistency, and they thrive with boundaries, right? Boundaries, consistency, etc. Those things are not negatives, right? I'm not saying be strict. I'm not saying be unkind. I'm not saying be militaristic. I'm saying set boundaries and hold them in there. The horses in the yard behind our house always reminds me of the situation of setting boundaries with our kids, right? Those horses have a lot of energy. They need a lot of space. They want to move. They want to stretch their legs, right? And they will test the boundaries. And the fences, and if the fences are not strong, they're not secure, then the horses can lean on them and break them down. But when the fences are built properly and they're strong, or the boundary setting lines are set inside those fence lines, and the horses get a little shock when they lean on them, they don't do that anymore. I'm not saying shock your kids, but we are going to hold them accountable. One of the things I'm seeing over and over, and I will address this in a minute, is all the things we're doing except for accountability. And when we are providing accountability, or when the teachers I'm reading are providing accountability, it's the whole class or to a whole group, instead of to the students who need to be accountable. And that erodes relationship. The student who always has to be the positive influence and put with the low kids because that student is a good model and has good grades. So now they are responsible to be teaching the other group. Or the students who are sitting crisscross applesauce, hands in their lap, ready to learn. And Dylan, who's my example today, Kellen last time, Dylan isn't getting with the program. So now the class is losing recess. Now the class is losing points. Now, right? Those girls or those boys who are sitting crisscross applesauce ready to learn are being punished because of Dylan, who doesn't even know that you're talking to him. So we need to hold kids accountable. And so this is what I need you to do. If it's the weekend, if it's your break, if you've got a few minutes, I really want you to sit down and watch this, pause it as needed, and think about what I'm saying. Be reflective, okay? I'm here. The Teach with Confidence program will help you create a proactive management plan, classroom management plan with consistent responses, with consistent boundaries, so that your students know exactly what you want and how to put it together. And when we do that and you implement it correctly in just a few short weeks, you can be confident that you know how to control your class all year and for years to come, right? But these are some things, if you're not in the group yet already, you can start thinking about and reflecting on. The first thing is your procedures and accountability systems should be getting 80 to 90% of your students doing what you need them to do the first time. Okay, let me say that again. Your procedures and accountability systems should be engaging the majority of your students quickly and easily without problems. Okay, if they're not, then my challenge to you is, let's start by reflecting on, did we give the procedures enough time? Did you move on too quickly because you told them the procedures the first day of school, you told them the rules and consequences, and then after the first week of school, you started teaching, right? Listen, I've worked with so many new teachers. I know what happens. On day 4, you were exhausted. You said, I've said this enough times. They should already know. And then you moved on. And then you started getting frustrated. Because on day 9, day 10, day 15, day 20, and now 2 months into school, if you started school or a similar place where we start early, you're not getting response from the kids that you need to get. And now you're frustrated because you're supposed to be doing instruction and they should know what they're doing. So, analyze your procedures. Did you teach it, model it, practice it, give feedback for a minimum of 20 consistent days? If not, you're missing a piece of your puzzle, right? And you need to know what it was that stopped the flow of success for your procedures. Then evaluate your teaching procedures. What are your teaching strategies that help while you're giving instruction to maintain control of the class, right? Too often, the dot cam is in the front of the room and we get a little tied to our desk and dot cam. But the number one most effective strategy for classroom management is proximity to the students. That means you should be on the prowl, you should be on the move. The kids should be eyes on you and they see you coming and they're like, oh boy, she's coming my way, right? And you hear a little chatter over there and you keep talking and you keep teaching and you keep moving and you're headed over there, right? And they're like, oh man, she's coming our way, right? At least in their head, they're like, she's coming our way, I gotta stop, right? Proximity is the number one easiest thing that you can do during instruction to stop chatting, to stop talking, to stop misbehaviors in their place, right? Another strategy you can use is lowering your voice. Most of us raise our voice and talk over them. We keep talking over them. We keep teaching over them. And the reason for that is because if we stopped and waited for them, we might be there all day, right? So one thing that happens is we start talking over the students. So if you know that your procedures and accountability is working, then you want to start looking at your instructional strategies of maintaining, managing behaviors during instruction, right? So proximity, lowering our voice, making them have to listen harder, listen clear. Using your attention signals. Our attention signals don't need to be louder than the kids, right? Those quiet coyotes, they're cute. They're primary. Those waterfalls, those 1, 2, 3, eyes on me, all of them can work if they work. If you don't have to do 5 of them, right? Whatever your attention signal is, it should be pretty much the same every time, consistently. And then waiting until you've got everyone's attention. Don't start talking until all eyes are on you. One of my favorites was hands on your heads, right? And I do that because then they couldn't have their pencil, they couldn't keep working, they couldn't keep whatever. Hands on your heads, eyes on the teacher. It's not cute, it doesn't rhyme with anything, right? And then you still have Dylan, who doesn't even know you're talking, may not even know he's talking. And so what you want to do is get his attention and make sure he is hands on his head, eyes on the speaker. So you do these things. You say, Dylan, hands on your head, eyes on the speaker. Now, I know it is not popular right now to call kids out. And I don't see it as calling kids out. Let me tell you why. My husband and I were dating, and I learned this very interesting fact. And it's partly the male brain does one thing at a time. The female brain does 5,000 things at a time. And there's different science behind that. And we're not going to get into that because that's not my area of expertise. But what I know is we're dating, we're watching TV. I'm hanging out with my boyfriend, right? So I'm telling him something, I'm talking to him, we're doing all that, I'm having this well, I wouldn't call it a conversation. I'm telling him all these things, right? And then I stopped because I had a question. It happened over and over, right? And he looks at me and says, "Are you talking to me?" Now, let me tie this in, right? he tells me after this has happened on a few of our dates or whatever, he tells me, I'm watching TV. I'm focused on one thing. I didn't even know you're talking to me. If you want my attention, you have to say, Joe, get my attention, and then tell me what you were saying. He's not telling me he needs to keep watching television. He's saying, I want to give you my attention, but I need to know you're trying to get my attention. So it's okay to call on a kid and use their name because they don't even know you're talking to them. This isn't about calling them out and embarrassing them and writing their name on the board with check marks, right? Which is very taboo in our super sensitive society. But let's be real. If Dylan doesn't even know that you're talking to him, he's not going to respond when you give Keisha props for sitting down. Because he heard Keisha's name, not his. So we're talking our kids to death. We're telling them the story. We're giving them the, hey, Dylan, can you please sit down? We're trying to learn. I want you to have attention. I don't want you to be distracting class. We give them this whole story. What Dylan needed was you to say, hey, Dylan, hands on your head, eyes on the speaker. And he's like, oh, me, I'm Dylan. Okay. Right? It's okay. They need to. And then we say their name, give a direction, keep it short and sweet, and keep them accountable. Hold them accountable. This way, it's not about rewards. It's not bribing. It's not repeating. It's not waiting for endless minutes. It's not taking away points. It's not holding the class back from recess. When you do these things consistently day after day with the same response and the same accountability, your students will do what you need them to do, right? When we're changing things, when we're throwing things at the wall, when we're hoping that we can find the right magic pill, the right magic strategy that's going to just turn it all around. And when I go, shh, the whole class is going to go, shh, and be quiet for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It just doesn't work that way. That's not how it works, right? And what we're seeing is more and more behaviors. And if you agree with me or not, my observation is we've eliminated consequences. We've eliminated accountability. We're giving a lot of positive feedback, but we're not giving direct feedback. We're not holding kids accountable, and we're not giving consequences. So the kids know there's nothing going to happen to them anyway. And Dylan, who doesn't even know you're talking to him, doesn't know why you're so frustrated and upset when you finally go, Dylan, knock it off. Then he's like, Mom, Miss Fiore yelled at me, right? And then Mom's in your face, and we don't want all that, right? But the consistency, your procedures, your teaching, your strategies while you're teaching, your methodologies, your attention-grabbing strategies don't interrupt instruction. They put management in the back seat, and they put teaching in the front seat, which is what you want, right? We're not there to manage kids. We're there to teach them. We know that high quality instruction will give our kids the next step up to growing, to getting toward grade level, to being successful in their career and beyond. But if we can't teach because they're chatting, they're talking, they're doing what we want, they're doing what we don't want them to do, then we can't teach. Then all the opposite is happening. We're growing the gaps. The kids aren't prepared. They get to the next grade level. They're further behind than when we let them out. And that's a travesty. That's the worst possible outcome versus saying, hey, Dylan, hands on your head, eyes on the speaker, right? Because we can be kind and firm and set boundaries and hold accountable kids and have a very positive, safe learning environment where kids are growing and learning and we're not frustrated and exhausted at the end of the day, right? I want you to be enthusiastic, doing those super cool lessons that you planned. I want you to be energized and excited about showing up the next day. I want you to go home for the weekend or for your vacation and get to enjoy your family, your friends, and those moments that you get to yourself without having to do school. But if you just want to flop on your bed and flop on the couch and say, no one talked to me for the next 3 days or the next 2 weeks, you're burning out already, and we don't want that. So let's get back to basics. Let's take care of business, and let's throw all the extra stuff out. And so I can help with that if you want more support and a partner to walk through that and plan that and know exactly what to do and how to do it and how to respond to Dylan, who may give you a little bit of feedback like, no. Or he may start clowning around to get attention. Like, we can address those bigger issues when we have a solid foundation that we've done all the things that we needed to do, and then we respond to the bigger issues. But for the most part, those issues don't keep arising when we've done all the things that I've talked about here. When we do all of the basics and we throw away all the extras, the systems, the points, the beans, I don't know. There's so many things that people are trying that are not ultimately going to work. But I know what ultimately works after helping dozens and dozens of new teachers, walking through this, being an expert in helping new teachers. What works isn't rewarding kids. It's giving very clear expectations and very clear direction and very clear follow through. So I'm super glad to see those of you who were able to make it today, Melanie and Maria and Marlene, and these things I can't always see. But anyway, seeing you guys all here, I'm excited for you. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend. Take time to sit down and listen and watch what I've been talking about, because I know it can change classrooms. Share it with a friend. Invite your friends to the group to watch. I want you to be successful. I know that you are struggling. I'm here for it. I'm here to help you, and I want to make sure that you are confidently in control of your class. To join the Teach with Confidence program and you want to know more about partnering with me to do that, write confidence in the chat below, and I'm happy to reach out to you, and we will get on a Zoom call and chat about what's going on in your class and how I can partner with you to eliminate those frustrations so that you can focus on teaching and engaging your students in learning. Have a great Friday. I was going to say Saturday. Have a great weekend. Bye.